This is FilmBookCast.
FilmBookCast.
FilmBookCast, the official podcast of FilmBook. Get ready for the latest in film news, TV show news, and theatrical reviews. FilmBook's podcast starts now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to FilmBookCast, the official podcast of FilmBook. My name is Chris Banks. If you're tuning in to FilmBookCast for the first time, what I do on this podcast is discuss the latest film and TV show news, as well as review an in-theater film. You can find more FilmBookCast on film-book.com by using the search term FilmBookCast. You can also email us at podcast@film-book.com. with FilmBookCast in the subject line. Let's jump right into it this week. Suits alum Patrick J. Adams is set for a key recurring role opposite of A.D. Jacobson in Amazon's A League of Their Own, a reimagining of Penny Marshall's 1992 film from co-creators of Broad City and Mozart and the Jungle. The hour-long series, described as a fresh approach to Marshall's classic about a real-life All-American girls professional baseball team, will follow new characters who embody the spirit of a generation of women who dream to play professional baseball. The show takes a deeper look at race and sexuality, following the journey of a whole new ensemble of characters as they carve their own paths toward the field, both in the league and outside of it. Adams will play Charlie, Carson's handsome Midwestern husband on his way home from fighting overseas during World War II. He's eager to return to a life back to normal with his wife. A League of Their Own show is from Amazon Studios, and it's co-created by Will Graham and A.B. Jacobson. There's no debut date for the series so far. Wrapping up the week in TV news, Saturday Night Live is back, as season 47 will premiere on October 2nd, and it's finally booked its return. Lorne Michaels is still in talks with key cast members over who will return and who won't. Exciting news for Saturday Night Live fans. Now let's head on over to some movie news from this week. Two-time Oscar winner Sally Field has been added to the cast of Spoiler Alert, Focus Feature Films' film adaptation of journalist Michael Usilio's best-selling memoir, A Tragic Comic Love Story. She joins Jim Parsons and Ben Aldridge in The Pick, which is being directed by Michael Showalter. Shooting will begin this month in New York City. Some cool movie news came out this week as Disney's live-action The Little Mermaid will hit theaters on May 26, 2023, Disney announced on Friday. It's a live-action take on the Disney 1989 animated musical classic. Halle Berry is Ariel, and Javier Bardem is King Triton. Melissa McCarthy is Ursula, and Awkwafina is Scuttle. We can't wait for that one. Wrapping up the week in movie news, it looks like Disney is committing to release all 6 of their remaining films in the 2021 film slate theatrically, with all but one getting a minimum of a 45-day exclusive theatrical window, the studio announced Friday. Eternals, The Last Duel, West Side Story, Ron's Gone Wrong, and The Kingsman will all be released exclusively in theaters for the first 45 days. The only film that will be released simultaneously on streaming and in theaters is Encanto. The Last Duel will come out on October 15th, Eternals on November 5th, West Side Story on December 10th, and The Kingsman on December 22nd. Disney released a statement that said, following the tremendous box office success of our summer films, which included 5 of the top 8 domestic releases of the year, we are excited to update our theatrical plans for the remainder of 2021. As confidence in moviegoing continues to improve, we look forward to entertaining audiences in theaters while maintaining the flexibility of our Disney Plus subscribers with the gift of Encanto this holiday season. Interesting news from Disney considering Scarlett Johansson's recent lawsuit. That's it for movie news. Let's head on over to some TV trailers now. If you're a fan of Nancy Drew, CW just released a Season 3 trailer. It stars Kennedy McCann, and she leads the crew to a whole new case. The series is scheduled to make its return Friday, October 8th, and you can check out the trailer for Season 3 of Nancy Drew now. Another TV trailer that came out is Change Isn't So Scary as the Babysitters Club returns to Netflix for Season 2 on October 11th. Check out the trailer for Season 2 of the Babysitters Club It looks like it's going to be a fun ride, as the kids are getting very big. The last TV trailer we'll check out this week comes out November 7th, and it's Dexter New Blood. Showtime finally released the full-scale trailer, and check it out. He's back, but old habits die hard. Or do they? Check out the trailer for Dexter New Blood. It'll debut on Showtime November 7th. Now let's head on over to some movie trailers for this week. If you're a fan of haunting horror films, check out the trailer for Witch Hunt. It just debuted at South by Southwest, and it's coming out in theaters and on video on demand October 1st. It's about witch hunters and some strange magic is haunting a family. Check out the trailer for Witch Hunt. It looks good. How can we talk about movie trailers without talking about The Matrix Resurrection? Have you seen this trailer? Keanu Reeves is back, and it looks good. Check out the trailer for The Matrix Resurrections. It looks like it's going to be epic. Another cool trailer that caught my eye is South of Heaven. Jason Sudeikis stars as Jimmy, a convict who gets early parole because of his dying girlfriend. However, their last year together hits a snag when Jimmy suddenly finds himself in trouble again with the local crime boss. It's directed by Arhan Keshels. He directed Big Bad Wolf. It looks like a really gritty and extremely good thriller performance out of Jason Sudeikis. Check out the trailer for South of Heaven. It comes out October 8th in theaters and video on demand. That's it for movie trailers. All right. Time for this week's movie review. For this week's movie review, we're checking out Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. Written by David Callahan, Destin Daniel Cretton, and Andrew Lenham. It stars Simu Liu, Awkwafina, Menger Zhang, Fa Shen, and many others. Shang-Chi must confront the past he thought he left behind when he's drawn into the mysterious web of the Ten Rings organization. Like everyone else, I am really pleased and happy to report that Shang-Chi is a phenomenal film. The theater was packed where I seen it, and I'm a big fan of Eastern mythology and Eastern culture generally, but I don't know anything about it, so I was very excited to see how they would incorporate certain elements of Chinese culture and just everything about how the film is wrapped. I was very intrigued by. I'm not really too familiar with the superhero books, so I'm not sure how well it translated from how it was written, but on screen, it's really well done. It's extremely powerful. Like I said, the theater was packed where I seen it, which added a great deal to the enjoyment of the film. It's much better when you see a film when the theater is full. And Shang-Chi delivered. Destin Daniel Cretton, I'm not too familiar with what his work is, but I wish I saw the film in IMAX. Exciting movie that I just wish I got to see in IMAX because it would have just added to the experience and made it even better. It's an extremely fun movie, but I think why it's so fun is because of the plot points are so strong, and it's a great story within this comic book container that we're exploring, and it also helps that the acting is extremely strong. I mean, Simu Liu is amazing. Equally though, Tony Chiu-Wai plays his dad, who's also the villain, and his name is Mandarin. And you'll have to see the film to understand why he's the villain and why Shang-Chi is running away from what he wanted for his son, what was in his past. And honestly, Mandarin has a great story himself. He's in love with his wife, who is no longer alive, and we can all relate to the inability to get over loss, the inability to move on, the choosing to remain in denial, causes a lot of damage around you. And Mandarin's character kind of gives us a window into just what that damage looks like, because Fa Shen plays Liko, which is Shang-Chi's sister. And she kind of followed more of the family path, if you will, more so than Shang-Chi did, because Shang-Chi is parking cars. He's a valet driver, but he loves his life, and his friend Katie, who comes on the ride for the film, played by Awkwafina, they love their life. They have a great time being who they are and working at a job that makes them happy. It's the biggest cultural difference between Western culture and the rest of the world, is that pursuit of the self, that facilitation of whatever our dream is, you know what I mean? And that's very individualistic, and that's very American. And Mandarin's character and the whole setting of the film, because the film takes place mostly not in America, and they speak about, I love how they speak about Eastern culture, and they poke fun at different elements of Western culture, and it's a good thing, because we need to have the ability to laugh at ourselves and to see that we are a very selfish culture. We are we have a lot that we should be laughing at ourselves about over the past 4 years, what we've put ourselves through, and the movie does poke fun at that, and I think it's a good thing, because we have to have the ability to laugh at ourselves, because if we don't have the ability to laugh at ourselves, if we take everything politically, if we take everything seriously, if we're not able to see the comedy in tragedy, then we're losing our humanity, and we have to remind ourselves of that and stop this blunt instrument that the internet is from destroying our humanity, each of us. Mandarin makes great points about what the benefit of a collective mindset is, about why it's good to follow the family traditions. And I think that is also a great point to make, because it is important to follow family traditions. It is important to follow or to honor your past, to honor your culture, to honor your family. And the film does a great job showing us this, showing us why it's so important, and why a culture like Chinese culture is so much more fruitful and strong, because they surrender the self to understand these bigger points that Western culture is really struggling to right now. So I think the film does a really tasteful job at poking fun at these elements and poking fun at America, because I think we pretty much are a joke right now, in my own opinion. Cool growth story too, because Shang-Chi, you'll see when you see the movie that he goes through very much the same kind of doubts and the same kind of who am I's that we all go through. And that's why I like Mandarin's character so much, because he's a very strong villain. The villain is extremely strong, and which adds to why the plot points are so strong. But Mandarin is very set. He's strong as a rock. Shang-Chi is strong as water, because he changes, he thinks, he adapts, he understands that he actually does have to take on this responsibility, that he can't run away from his past, he can't run away from what he knows he is. And it's a great point for all of us. I feel like a lot of us, especially most of us in Western culture, really spend all of our time not really listening. But without listening, we can't honor the world that we live in. We can't honor the people who share things with us. If we can't listen, then we can't honor our own desires and dreams and hopes. Our truest desires, our truest hopes. Not the ones that we see on TV or that we get spoon-fed in school or whatever. The ones that come from us. If we can't listen, then we can never honor that. And if we can't listen to ourselves, how can we expect to listen to anybody else? And I really love this point that the film makes, is that as a white European American, someone who really appreciates Eastern culture for their collective selflessness, and their appreciation of history and their incorporation of mythology and lore and everything. I love it. I love the world, right? But the film does a great job showing us as Americans that we must honor ourselves, our history, our country, our reality. You know, a lot of us want to run away and pretend and hide and just run away. We can't do that anymore, you know, and just like Shang-Chi in the movie realizes that at a certain point, you have to grow up. You have to move on. You have to accept. You have to work. You have to change. You have to not do X, you know? We all get to that point in life, and Shang-Chi does within the film, and you'll have to watch the film to understand what I'm talking about, really. But it's really beautifully done. You know, the film is funny, the acting is strong, the fight scenes are cool, the story is cool, the 10 Rings is like super cool. Like I said, the fact that the theater was packed makes it even better, you know, because it was a very collective experience watching this film, and I feel like that it just complemented the whole movie. And there's a reason why Shang-Chi destroys box office expectations, you know, because we need to see ourselves in the things that we watch. We have to not be stimulated, but we have to be brought in and absorb a world that is external from us, you know, and it's something that Western culture is losing because we all live in our own little worlds now. We do not honor our country. We don't honor each other. We don't respect each other. You know, we think that everything can be solved by having a certain opinion. You know, it's really kind of foolish how much time we've been wasting as a country, as a people, as a culture, and it's served to destroy it. And I just hope that people understand why Shang-Chi does so well in the box office and why these American movies, quote-unquote American movies, make $7 million. You know what I mean? People need to see themselves in the movies that they watch. Or they need to see their friends or someone who they're intrigued by or someone who they're in love with. We need to see ourselves in the movies that we watch. And that's why cinema exists. And that's why I've been beating the drum for a while now that American cinema has to wake up. I hope that Shang-Chi and its performance at the box office really makes American cinema wake up. Because we have a lot of work to do. We are not telling stories that are feeding the soul of our culture. Shang-Chi reminds me of the big hole in American culture right now. Because I'm a big movie guy, as you guys probably absorb. You know, I love this stuff. I love cinema. I love American culture, you know, and we have a big gray black hole called Netflix and all this stuff, you know, and I'm not saying that they don't produce good stuff, but I'm saying that it's too much crap and there's not enough value, there's not enough truth, there's not enough realness, there's not enough mirrors in the entertainment in our culture. There's too much being spoon-fed to us, there's too much being served to us, there's too much being advertised to us. A mirror is what we need art to be. And profit and the corporatization of everything and just the speed of the world today has made art become advertising, stuff that we have to really resist as Western culture, because we need to re-solidify Western culture around our purpose, our collective purpose, and make sure that we understand that collective purpose in a much deeper way. Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings was phenomenal. I'm so happy that the theater was packed and that the film is making so much money, because I hope that it wakes American cinema up to the work that they have to do. Go see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 10 Rings. See it in IMAX, because I wish I did. But go check it out. It's awesome. You'll have a great time seeing it. You bring your whole family. It's good for everyone. And I hope you like it as much as I did. Thanks so much for checking us out this week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of FilmBookCast. You can find more of my work on film-book.com. Just search for Chris Banks or FilmBookCast. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm at CBanksy. That's S-E-E Banksy. I'm also on Instagram at the Chris Banks. If you listen to this podcast on iTunes or another podcast service, please rate and review this episode. If you're listening on our YouTube channel, FilmBook Podcast, please like our video, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment in the comment section. It really helps other people discover our podcast. Please also becoming one of our patrons on Patreon at patreon.com/filmbook. Your support helps us create more engaging content. You'll find our Patreon link below in the description. If you want to tweet about this podcast, just use the hashtag FilmBookCast. Tune in next week for the next episode of the FilmBookCast. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you then.